Dr. Jeffrey Lowell joins us every Wednesday via Skype from his office. He is professor of surgery and pediatrics at Washington University. Good morning once again, Dr. Jeffrey Lowell.
Good morning, McGraw.
Let's talk about these e-cigarettes. A lot has been talked about recently. The popularity is growing. Are they actually beneficial in helping people quit smoking?
Quit smoking? I'm not so sure. I think the jury is still out on that. It definitely helps people smoke less. It's a substitute. For those who don't know what it is, it delivers a nicotine mist through a electronic formula. There's lots and lots of these things on the market right now. At least 21% of all smokers have tried them at least once.
Wow.
But we need to remember, nicotine is addictive, so we're trading one form of an addiction for another. The thought here is that there may be, and this is a maybe, less carcinogens associated with these e-cigarettes than with real cigarettes. And what has been studied is whether these are any better than the nicotine patches in helping people quit smoking. And I think jury's still out.
Yeah, I spent the weekend with a couple people who I went to dinner with them, and there were two or three of them who had the e-cigarettes, and they were puffing on them while they were having dinner, and they blew out, I guess, vapor. I never smelled anything. It couldn't have been any nicer. But they said that they've gone back to trying smoking, and they said they get a high, and they can't go back to actual cigarettes, that they've become now so used to these e-cigarettes. So it's got to be at least a little bit more healthy than the more unhealthy cigarette, right?
Well, probably it is. I mean, I think these things have been poorly studied and regulated by the FDA. It's certainly, there's no evidence that there's any secondhand smoke, so you can sit next to someone and likely not get the secondhand effects of electronic cigarettes, which you definitely get from regular cigarettes.
Right.
But you don't get that from patches either, and it's a trade-off right now. I think it would be great if this was shown to be able to help people quit smoking, but right now the only evidence is that it helps.
On a side note, I've also heard that there are people who are using these e-cigarettes and putting some type of THC or hash oil or what, I'm no expert on this, but they're actually turning these e-cigarettes into e-marijuana cigarettes. And so
Well,
you can
I definitely am no expert on that. So,
but I mean, you could be sitting next to somebody smoking an e-cigarette and they could be getting high and you wouldn't even know it, I guess. So that's kind of interesting.
maybe the clue might be as to what they order off the menu.
Ladies and gentlemen, two shows nightly. Dr. Jeffrey Lowell here on the Big 550 KTRS. Speaking of smoking, the CDC says some of these graphic ads are working to get people to quit smoking.
Yeah, they work in other countries. There was a big outlash about putting them directly on the packages of cigarettes, which they do. I was recently in Australia. Every package of cigarettes is not only when you go into a store, they don't advertise it at all. It's behind, some blackened out thing, so you can't even see the package. But every package of cigarettes has one of these horrific pictures of someone who's had some horrible complication of smoking on it. But and I think that would be good to have that in the United States too. I think we're a little bit away from that, but I guess the campaign has, which I think has been very successful. It should be continued. I mean, 44,000 Americans die every year from smoking. It costs the U.S. in direct medical costs, $96 billion a year and $97 billion in lost productivity. Until we kind of recognize that this is not only a horrible health problem, but a major cost to our economy, both in direct healthcare costs and in productivity costs, we're going to be losing the game.
Can they do that for peanut M&Ms too, so I can stop eating peanut M&Ms?
No, but there's an inhaled form of those. So there's an peanut M&M cigarette you can now buy.
All right. And finally, Doctor, while we have you, lots of reasons to live in Missouri and not move to Texas, including the fact that there's an epidemic of whooping cough in Texas.
2,000 cases so far reported of whooping cough, which is pertussis, the medical name for this year. And not uncommonly, we talk about the benefits of immunization and vaccination. We have a vaccine for this, but 4,000 cases. I'm sorry, 2,000 cases in Texas in the last few months. 40,000 cases last year for something that we have a vaccine against, and it's a horrible problem to get. You can definitely die from it, and we have a vaccine that can prevent it.
So they're calling this an actual epidemic in Texas of a whooping cough.
Yes, epidemic proportions, 2,000 so far this year, including 2 infants who've died.
Because people who have just not gotten vaccinated.
Likely that has been a major contributor, yes.
Dr. Jeffrey Lowell, unbelievable. Thank you, Dr. Jeffrey Lowell, Professor of Surgery and Pediatrics from Washington University, Skyping in this morning. Doctor, have a good day. Thanks.
Take care, McGraw.
All right, that's Dr. Jeffrey.